Hello, my name is Blossoms and welcome to another Genshin Impact video. And last stream, we actually managed to get Hutao, and I'm very excited we actually managed to get her, so I'm going to go ahead and go over some of her talents and some of her passives and whatnot, and just kind of give you guys some different build suggestions for weapons and different artifact sets that are going to be good on her. I don't have my Hutao kitted out yet, so this isn't necessarily showing off my build or anything. That will come in the future, but for now I'm just going to be giving you guys tips and maybe what you want to use for your particular Hutao builds with some of the artifacts you may or may not have. So without further ado, let's go ahead and pop into the video. Starting off with some of her talents here, we do have to go over some of her talents in order to know exactly what artifact sets we want to use. And we do have her normal and charge attack here. Nothing too crazy. There's nothing really different about these. Her charge attack is very relevant to her kit, but it's not really here in the actual normal attack section. You're going to find it here in her E skill. And her E skill, the way it works is essentially you cast E. It takes up 30% of your HP. It's going to increase your attack based off of your max HP. And it does have a cap, but don't worry, that cap is pretty darn hard to hit. There are some charts out there if you want to go look for them, but most of us aren't going to be hitting that cap, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. It also converts all of your damage to pyro damage, and then your charge attacks now apply the Blood Blossom effect to enemies hit. And essentially the way this Blood Blossom works is you use your charge attack and anything hit by it gets this little mark similar to Child, and over a period of time that Blood Blossom is going to deal some damage, and that period of time is going to be 4 seconds, and the Blood Blossom will last for 8 seconds. And just so you know, I don't believe that scales with the talent level up, so the duration is pretty set there. However, it still does really good damage, and one really unique thing you want to know about the Blood Blossom here is the fact that the Blood Blossom actually takes on the damage of whatever Hutao's attack currently is. And what I mean by that is, so you boost your attack here with the E skill, you boost it substantially, and that's when you're going to be doing most of your damage. And when the Blood Blossom ticks while you're in your E, it'll check the attack of while you're in your E, but if your E essentially, ends and then the Blood Blossom ticks, it'll check your attack at that current point in time, so it'll do less damage, which is very interesting because we've been very used to snapshotting in the game where you can have an attack buff and then use a skill, and then that skill will just have that attack buff for its duration. But this one is a little bit different. It works dynamically, which is really interesting. It kind of, just shows that MiHoYo is aware of snapshotting and that they will, allow it on some things and won't allow it on other things. And this is one of those cases, and I think that's really cool. Now, one other thing to note here is that it does have a fairly long cooldown of 16 seconds and a 9-second duration. And a lot of time what you're going to be doing for that 7-second cooldown time is going to your other units to support Hutao to then come back and then dish out a ton of damage. And this all scales really well. The attack increase is absolutely insane. Even if you don't really invest in HP, you're still going to be getting a huge attack increase, and the Blood Blossom damage itself isn't too bad. And as I showed before, your attack increase and the damage of your Blood Blossom do scale as you go ahead and level up Hutao. And then moving on to the Elemental Burst, actually we have Spirit Soother, and this is a very simple Elemental Burst, essentially just big pyro damage and a large AoE, and it scales really well. And it actually deals more damage the lower HP Hutao is. It also regens some of your max HP for Hutao, and it regens more if she's at lower HP, so that's very significant to note as well. And it has a relatively decent energy cost and a fairly normal cooldown, nothing too crazy here. And then you have the Flutter Bly passive that gives you that little bit of extra crit rate whenever her E skill goes down, so then your units are just going to be a little bit more consistent after you swap off of her. And then you have her other passive here, Sanguine Rouge, or Rouge, where essentially when she's below 50% HP, she's going to get a 33% pyro damage bonus, which is absolutely insane. And then the last passive here, the More the Merrier. Whenever she cooks a dish perfectly, she has a chance of getting a suspicious dish, which is very nice. And for those of you who've seen my Hutao initial thoughts video, nothing too out of place here. I wanted to get through that as fast as we could. So moving on to artifact sets and what I would recommend for Hutao in particularly, I think the most general use set that is going to work for most of you is going to be the 4-piece Crimson Witch of Flame set here. You get extra pyro bonus damage and you get extra reaction damage with your pyro bonus damage, and you get a little bit of extra pyro bonus damage whenever you cast your E, but the second portion of the 4-piece isn't that relevant for Hutao, so I wouldn't worry about it that much. However, if you're really struggling on Crimson Witch of Flame sets, you could do a 2-piece of Crimson Witch and a 2-piece of Royal Plume. You could even go for something like a 4-piece Gladiator's Destiny or like a 2-piece Glad and 2-piece Pyro set there. I don't really recommend Gladiator that much. It is really solid, but she does deal a lot of her damage with her charge attack, and the 4-piece Gladiator set doesn't actually augment her charge attack there, which is pretty bad. It's still very solid, don't get me wrong, but you are going to want to be doing that charge attack and having it deal more damage. And if that's the case, if you're a charge attack fiend, then I would actually recommend something like the Retracing Bolide. You pair her with some good shield units. The Retracing Bolide 4-piece set here is not only going to make that shield stronger, it is going to guarantee that your charged and normal attacks are doing 40% extra damage, which is very, very nice. If you plan to run really strong shield units with her in general, I would highly recommend this, as this is going to help her out the most. It's going to keep it to where your health is remaining low, but she's still going to be able to take damage, and as well as just augment the fact that she'll be dealing more damage. Other weird sets you can actually do for Hutao, believe it or not, is the 4-piece Heart of Depth here, as the 4-piece Heart of Depth does work for pretty much everybody. After using your elemental skill, it increases our normal and charge attack by 30% for 15 seconds. This definitely isn't the best, but it's kind of more of a meme build, but it definitely does work for those of you who might be struggling and just kind of have this on hand. And then one last set I wanted to mention is actually the 4-piece Archaic Petra. No, the 2-piece is entirely irrelevant for her. However, the 4-piece there is going to be giving you that 35% extra damage bonus based on the type of shield crystal you hit. So if you're running like a Geo party, the way this works, by the way, is whoever picks up the crystal is the one who gets the damage bonus. So if you're running like a Geo unit like Albedo or something, and you have her on the field and she generates a crystal, like a fire crystal or something, then she's going to be able to pick that up and gain that bonus. It's definitely super wonky and I couldn't really recommend it, but it does work. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the different artifact set bonuses I would recommend. As for stats for artifacts, I would definitely recommend something like HP percent, Hydro damage bonus, and then crit rate or crit damage based on what you really need for your kit. Obviously, you're going to want to be shooting for that 1 to 2 crit ratio of for every 1 crit rate point you want to crit damage. That's going to be the most optimal. And then subsets you're really going to want to shoot for things like HP percent, crit rate, and elemental mastery are all going to help you out substantially. I would say elemental mastery more so than maybe other DPSs, as due to the fact that Hutao is a pyro character, elemental mastery does go far on her as she reacts with a lot of elements like cryo and hydro, just dishing out that much more damage. And then, yeah, as I mentioned, attack percent, crit damage, and energy recharge are all going to be very good on her, just increasing your damage. I wouldn't prioritize attack percent as much as you would other units due to the fact that Hutao's base attack is so low, and most of your attack is going to be coming from your E skill anyway, that you don't really need to worry about it too much. And that's a very cool aspect to her. There's also kind of the cool aspect to her that if you're getting those bad stats of HP percent or flat HP, you don't have to worry about it as much because it's actually good on her because she wants more HP or that increased attack stat. And then moving on to the weapons here, you can pretty much use whatever you want because, as I said, the base attack of Hutao is pretty much irrelevant. Because most of your attack is going to be coming from her E skill. You can use all sorts of things. Of course, if you have a 5-star spear, I would probably recommend that over any 4-star spear. But 2 of the best 4-star spear options are going to be things like Deathmatch and the Dragon's Bane here. They are probably going to be your best for damage, especially if you're pairing her with a Hydro unit like Xing Shou or something. Dragon's Bane is going to do you a lot of good. However, I would select whatever weapon is going to augment your stats the best And in my particular case, that's probably going to be end up being deathmatch or something, just because I might need that crit rate. It all depends on the substats I get. But optimally, I think if I had perfect crit rate and crit damage, I would be using Dragon's Bane, because I do plan to pair her with characters like Xing Shou. It's all kind of up to preference there. You could even go something like Favonius Lance, which is something I want to test out in the future, just to see how fast we can actually get her elemental burst and spam it all we want, and how much energy she can actually generate with something like this. However, I don't think it's going to be the best damage option, right? There are even actually really good 3-star options, considering the fact that she doesn't care about the base attack as much as other units. Things like the White Tassel are actually fantastic on her. Its passive is also really good, increasing your normal attack, but do keep in mind that isn't increasing your charged attack, similar to the 4-piece Gladiator set. But it's still very, very good. I've seen people hit like 11k per hit with White Tassels before, so you can definitely make this work on her more so than you could other units in the past. Things like Black Tassel also work because it has that HP percent substat, and then the passive is pretty useless, but you kind of get where I'm going in the sense that even these 3 stars are very usable and can augment her kit well. So if you don't have any of these 4 stars really kitted out well enough for your Hutao, then maybe something like White Tassel at a refinement rank 5 is going to help you out the most. So now that we know what kind of weapons and artifacts we should probably be using on Hutao here, we can have an idea of what characters pair really well with her. And I've got to say, the characters on her actual weapon banner are some of the best characters to pair with her, by the way. Somebody like Xing Shou is one of the best characters to pair with her, period. He is an excellent unit for her. He doesn't heal too much, so he keeps her relatively low health, but he also provides damage resistance, and on top of that allows for constant vaporize reactions with her, which is just very strong. This is one of the best units for Hutao, period. I really can't, emphasize that enough as to how good he is for her. But then, surprisingly enough, characters like Chong Yun are very good for her. He allows a little bit of increased attack speed and whatnot with this particular passive. And then if you are lucky enough to have something like C2, he's going to be decreasing her cooldown if you cast her E within the actual field there, which is very nice. And then he also sets up some good opportunities for a reverse meld opportunity, which is pretty darn nice, allowing him to dish out some good damage. And then even characters like Xiangling do pair really well, especially if you have tons of constellations with Xiangling, because she does give a little bit of pyro damage bonus with that C6 or something. But I wouldn't say she's really all that great for Hutao. She's just pretty good if you are pairing her with somebody like Xing Shou and Chong Yun. But other units that do pair really well with her is basically anybody that's going to set her up to deal some really good reaction damage. Those characters being somebody like Gan Yu, or somebody like Child, or even Kaya is really going to help out a lot. Kaya's Q, believe it or not, does apply cryo really darn quickly compared to other cryo users, so he does pair pretty darn well with Hutao, allowing her to get as many melts as she can. Other characters that I particularly really like with Hutao is going to be somebody like Diona. She's a fantastic support for Hutao because she's going to be providing strong shields, as well as giving you opportunities to actually heal yourself when you need it, and setting up some good melt reactions. A couple other units that I do particularly like with her is somebody like Albedo, who's going to be able to give that elemental mastery bonus with his passive here. The homuncular nature, whenever he casts his Q, he gives 125 elemental mastery to the team, which is very, very strong and going to help her out but a lot more than some other units, just because she can react with units so easily. And I really like that aspect to him. And then a character like Noelle is really good for Hutao as well, just because she has the devotion passive here that is going to give you a free shield when a character drops below 30% health, which you're going to be doing a lot with Hutao since you're consuming 30% of your own HP. Noelle's going to pair really well with her, and then if you have like somebody like Albedo and Noelle and Hutao and Xing Shou, then you've got yourself a really strong team. Well, that's pretty much going to be it for the video. I hope I went over everything in kind of the in-depth nature that I wanted to. Kind of wanted to give a lot of good details about Hutao and just how strong she can actually be with other characters, and the different sets and weapons you can actually use on her. She's a very diverse character, and you have the opportunity to build her in a lot of ways. I'm really enjoying her, and I can't wait to actually build her out even more than I have her now. I just got to get some resources. I don't know if any of you noticed during the video, your boy struggling for Mora. I only got like 14k or something like that. It's rough out here, but I can't wait to get her up regardless. And I'll go ahead and make a build video when I actually do get that done. But do expect a couple more videos, like maybe a team composition build video, like a team composition video for her and maybe Xiao coming up soon. Just depends on when I can actually get those done. Anyway, as I said, that's going to be it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please leave a comment and like below, as it helps the video and I deeply appreciate it. But other than that, I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.